Okay, Bartek, last time we have finished the exercise with the execution of CI/CD pipeline on the gateway. We have configured the execution of the CI/CD pipeline here in my repository using YAML file. Let me show this file.
Yes.
And we have specified that it will be executed on HPC machine. In our case, it's a gateway machine. Can we run a CI/CD pipeline in some other environment?
Of course, we can also use Docker, and maybe, for example, we could use different images that we produce in Docker. We can put it in a container registry in our GitLab, and then use it inside our GitLab CI file. So we will use our image that we produce to build some code.
Okay, can you show me how can I do this?
Yeah, sure. I will first show you how you can use GitLab container registry to put your image.
Okay.
So, for example, here I have example project that we use to put IMAS images, Docker IMAS images, and we put it in container registry. So, as you can see, you can copy the link to our container registry, and we could use this image in our continuous integration. With this image, however, this image is private, so if you want to use it, you will have to ask for access. So if you have this access, you can use this script that will show you right now. Let's go through it. First, we define stages. What's different is that we use tag Docker because we don't want to use our HPC machine because there is no Docker there. So we want to use our Docker machine. We specify the image. So as you can see, I just copy pasted it here. We modify our script a little bit because executing our script on gateway is a little bit different than using our Docker image. Use just module load IMAS. We load the test data, the IMAS DB test database, and we copy our input data there, and we just build and run the code. So maybe you will try it.
Okay, so I assume that I just take the script as you have shown it here. I make sure that it's updated inside my CI/CD definition, and it should be fine.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so I am back in my repository. This is my script, which was used for HPC. Let's now try to modify it such way it will be adapted to this Docker execution. So I will just edit this file here. I will copy paste the content of new script as you have shown me, and I will just confirm that I understand it correctly. So first of all, we decide that we will use Docker image instead of HPC machine. Here we have this Docker image which you have suggested to use, which contains all the IMAS environment. Here we have to change the way that we initialize the environment inside Docker, and we just use something that is used inside Docker. So it's just Docker specific. I mean, in another image, it could look different.
Exactly, it could change in the future.
Okay, and then I just run and execute everything as before. So I just build my code, I run the code, and that's it. So now let's try to commit changes. I'm just committing it.
Oh, your job is running. Let's check it out.
Okay, let's go there. Okay, I can see the log file, so let's take a look there.
As you can see, we use the Docker machine. As on the right side of your monitor, you can see text Docker. See, we downloaded the image, we put the data, and everything built correctly.
Okay, but now everything was executed inside Docker image, which means that my repository, my code, everything that I run is now inside the Docker container.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so another question here is my current repository, which I have, this Beaver repository. First of all, this repository is public. Another thing is that my repository here, the import repository, is private. However, I am running everything as myself. Now, question here is, let's say I have another repository which I would like to clone inside my Docker container and access it from the Docker container, but the repository which is outside of CI/CD here is private. For example, here I have my another repository which is hosted on GitHub, but this time this repository can be accessed only by me. How can I access this repository inside Docker container? Is it even possible?
Oh, of course it's possible. If you remember, we did something that allowed us to connect to Docker via the personal access token in the previous tutorial. And we could use this credential to copy your, to clone your Git repository. Maybe I will show you. We want to add a variable in your CI/CD, which will contain your username and token that we will use to connect to your private repository. How to do this? You go to Settings and you go to CI/CD. You go to Variables, and the one that you are interested in is the must one, because it hides your credential in the job log, because, well, you don't want to show it to everybody. So you add a variable. Let's call it credentials. We type our username and token. We mask the variable, and we want to undo the protect, because we want to have it on all branches, not just protected ones. And we add the variable. Now our variable is added and is masked. Then you will have to change your script to download your private repository. So here I can show you a little bit changed script. What's different is we use our git clone with your credentials as a environment variable, and we copy your private data. Then we put it in the input folder, and we do all the same again, like build and run. So maybe you will try it.
First of all, I'm going to Settings, CI/CD. Now inside Variables, I just expand it, and
Yes.
I do add variable. And as you mentioned, I can create a variable which will be called credentials. Okay, credentials. Now I assume that I have to use the username which I have on my original repository. So it will be the name on the GitHub.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so I'm typing it here. And now I'm taking the token, I will just copy paste it here, the one that I have generated in the previous tutorial, where we
Yes.
were importing my repository
The
and where we
personal
were
access
setting up
token.
the mirrors. Okay, so yeah, this one. And this is a variable. I am removing protect variable. I am removing mask. I am setting up,
Yes.
setting the mask variable checkbox, and I am create the variable here.
Yes, exactly.
So now I assume that I have to also update my
CI/CD.
CI/CD script. Okay, let's
Yes.
go there. So let's go into my branch where I have all the CI/CD tests. Now what I do, I open my job definition file. I am switching to edit mode. and I copy paste the whole script that you have shown me just before, just a few minutes ago. So I paste it here. And just to recap the changes. So first of all, we can, but it's not obligatory, change the name of the stages. So in this case, I
yes.
changed this to test Docker with access to external repository, just to make it sure that we are accessing something from outside. And instead of copying data directly from my original repository, I do this additional step where I clone my private repository using credentials as specified in the variable.
Yes, exactly.
So let's try to commit changes. Okay.
Oh, let's go to your pipeline.
Okay. The
Yes.
pipeline is running. I will just take a look at logs.
And everything is successful. So
Okay.
this is how you use Docker containers in your CI/CD.
Okay. And I can see that the credentials are indeed masked out.
Yes, you don't see
Yeah.
it.
Okay. So probably that's all for now.
Yes, that's all.